We are back with new developments in the scandal over state police traffic tickets. Governor Ned Lamont has now picked an independent investigator.
A recent audit found troubling numbers of under and over-reported tickets. Chief Political Reporter Susan Raff is live in our newsroom with the latest. Susan.
Aaron, Governor Lamont said he wanted an independent review to determine why this conduct happened. Now he's picked a former U.S. attorney, Deirdre Daley. Daley served as the first assistant U.S. attorney in Connecticut and then was picked by President Obama to be the state's U.S. attorney. She now works for the private law firm Finn, Dixon and Hurling. The audit revealed 26,000 falsified tickets. Ken Barone, who coordinated the audit, which requires law enforcement agencies to collect information on traffic stops to comply with Connecticut's racial profiling law, says this.
Trust in law enforcement is paramount to the legitimacy of the criminal justice system. The public has to believe that law enforcement, whether that be municipal law enforcement or state police, are honest, trustworthy, and have the interest of the constituents they serve.
Now, Barone told us today that he feels Attorney Daley is a good choice. He says she is very thoughtful and fair. Governor Lamont says he's instructing all state police troopers to cooperate with this investigation. And today, Colonel Stavros Malika said the state police will cooperate fully. Now, this Wednesday, state lawmakers are holding a hearing to get more answers as well. And anyone wishing to contact Ms. Daley can do so confidentially. This is people who may have information that they would like to share, and that information you can get on our website and also the Channel 3 app. We are live in the newsroom. Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.